What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Take Flight Squad. I am your host, Italy Jet, along with my co-hosts Banks and Gunny Gumby. How are you doing on this messed up Monday?
I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and be the glass half full kind of guy today. I refuse to allow this to be because we all spoke about this and we all felt logically speaking the best scenario for the Jets was, of course, Derek Carr. And I know we're gonna get into it. I know it's all it's a lot of emotions for that. So I'm gonna be the half glass full kind of guy. Derek Carr was never the guy. The New York Jets let him walk because they already have something bigger and better planned for us, and that's why Derek Carr is not a New York Jet. That's what I'm gonna go with.
Okay.
I guess I'll do the empty part of the glass.
I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer today. So but you could do the other one.
This will probably be the only like straightforward negative shit, but like it's a couple signs. Maybe it's maybe I'm in my dark room connecting too many dots that don't exist, right? But it's concerning to me. I think he was a legitimate option that we missed out on. Gino, we chatted real quick. I think he did have a very generous timeline. We're trying to keep us involved in whoever these mystery teams were. So that's all great. I do think that was all part of contract negotiations as well, but I don't think we got the Kirk Cousins treatment. So that's fine. That's a win. But kind of taking it back, I do have some concerns because there was the whole issue that came out about who was on board with Zach Wilson and, Rex Hogan and all these crazy dudes like trying to convince that he was better than Trevor Lawrence and whatever fantasy land that was going to happen in, right? So there's already inner turmoil where I mean, maybe it was just me, but I think we all thought the entire franchise was on board with Zach Wilson. We find out that might not be the case, right? Then we fast forward. It seems like there was a split just based on kind of how some of these press conferences went.
Right.
Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas, they seem like they were big fans of Derek Carr. Exactly. Woody Johnson's comments never really related to top talents. Everything was kind of been centered around Aaron Rodgers. And we know how he is. He wants to, fancy new toys. He wants whatever's going to shine brightest when somebody jingles a key in front of him. And obviously Aaron Rodgers is going to kind of have that allure and that star power. So seeing that we missed out on Derek Carr kind of makes me think that maybe Woody Johnson, did a power play move. But I don't know. That also might be a bit of a reach. Again, I've said this a few times before. I think the Saints were in the driver's seat more than a lot of people thought this entire time. Yeah. They've been saying that they want him, right? If, closest thing I can relate it to is a relationship. If I'm trying to get at a girl and I keep telling her she's my option, number one, and she has another dude she's talking to as well, and he's like, yeah, you on the bench, shorty. We play when I'm ready to play. Like, obviously, she's going to want to go with whoever's trying to direct their attention. So I think that's ultimately kind of what went down today. But I'm more so hurt because of what I heard the contract looks like. So they gave him 4 years. I don't know what the total value is or anything, but there was a couple of tweets that said that they structured it in a way to
150 for 30 guaranteed.
Okay. So something like there's bonuses and options they put in so that they have a very low minimal cap hit in the first year or two, which means they still got a bunch of we know the Saints, they play their money very well. So they opened it up to where they still have a pretty good opportunity to make some plays over this next year or two too. So it just kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think for me, Carr was probably my first choice, but like, I am a huge Lamar Jackson fan. Rodgers, I've always been up and down about, but I always wanted those three quarterbacks. I know some people want Jimmy G, some people want other quarterbacks. Like, I get that. Every Jets fan has their specific guy you like. Gunny's kind of in the same area as all three of us. We just want a quarterback that's going to take us to the playoffs and to the Super Bowl. And one of these three quarterbacks can do it. Now, if Rodgers, I'm just going to put up a couple scenarios now. Now, if Rodgers goes on the Pat McAfee show and does like a LeBron thing and be like, okay, I'm going to go to the Jets, or hey, I'm going to retire. Oh, hey, I'm doing something else. If we find out by Wednesday that Rodgers is going to retire, I'm going to be on that door. I'm going to tell JD better go drive down to Baltimore tonight and beg Lamar to come here. Because if you're going to get, and say Jimmy G maybe go to the Raiders or something, or if he goes to the Falcons, or if he goes to Titans or something, we're kind of screwed if Lamar gets tagged. I know this is going to be a long week. I know there's going to be a lot of things that are going to happen because the franchise tag tomorrow, free agency's around the corner as well. But it's kind of like, what do you do? What do you do? Just like what Banks has said about Salah's press conference, he has been saying 30-year-old, right? I mean, it's kind of around with Carr, so we're all thinking, okay, this could go either way. But for me, and Gunny, I could say about Gunny is, we'll take a little bit of high road, but I'm also like, my gut just keeps saying we're just gonna get Jimmy G. I don't want to be that guy, but like I know we gotta wait. But it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I don't blame Carr though. I don't blame Carr. He held out as long as he did, leverage, and now he's with the Saints.
I'm with you. Kind of looking at Ron P's comments here about us putting all our eggs in one basket, kind of piggybacking off of that. I don't think that's necessarily true. To a fault, right? It seems like obviously it was either going to be Rodgers or Carr. I think that's kind of what the thought process has been this entire time. Seeing that Derek Carr was the first signing of those quarterbacks to go, though, put us in a very bad situation because Rodgers, I think we don't want to consider that he could retire and that's a feasible opportunity. We could be looking at Jimmy Garoppolo as our best opportunity. Solid quarterback. He can, run an offense and function it very well, but durability concerns. And so I think at this point, when we were potentially in the driver's seat, we could have offered Derek Carr a contract. And if he picked the Saints over us still, I could have lived with that. But, we'll see whatever fallout happens from this. But I think this is a situation now where we will get a deeper understanding of how well the coaching staff and Joe Douglas has learned to have pivotal backup plans, right? We've seen the Zach Wilson failure in the coaching staff on the offensive side. This time, we may not have got either one of our quarterbacks that we preferred. Now we're looking at that tier B, tier C group. So I'll be more so interested to see kind of, if any news comes out about what the hierarchy looks like after Rodgers. I was preferable to Tannehill myself. Just because I don't think there's as much injury issues as Jimmy G. I think, we've seen him basically have an all-pro season, and so I kind of like what was there with how they operate, and we have guys in the building that's run something that's effective for them. So that's kind of where I'm at with it now. I'm expecting Rodgers, but if not, then I'm just kind of hoping for the best with whatever comes out now, right? Still other options. Daniel Jones, James Winston will probably get released now. So we'll kind of see what the coaching staff's flavor is.
Look, listen, I don't believe for a moment that Derek Carr chose the Saints because he didn't want to be a Jet, right? I've seen a lot of individuals talk like, oh my God, like he didn't want to be a Jet. He used this, blah, blah. Bullshit.
No.
That man literally put out what his contract desires were, leaked it, talking about he wanted to be a part of the process before free agency. And he came and saw us twice, right? Like, I think Derek Carr really liked the Jets. And I think they liked him too as option B, right? And I think the issue is, like you just said, DK, like after a while, he was just like, look, y'all ain't going to play me. You know what I'm saying? If y'all don't want to dance, I'm going to dance with these guys. And he's not dumb, man. He understood that Aaron Rodgers was the prize. And I do believe that at One Jets Drive, the whole focal point has been, hey, Aaron, we're waiting to see what he does. And I'm saying that because I also believe there has already been conversations in play with Green Bay to get Aaron Rodgers if he decides he wants to play again next year. I just don't think Aaron goes back next year because he basically stated that he's not trying to be a part of a rebuild, right? And you're talking about a team right now who's kind of like strung up with the Aaron Rodgers contract to bring in other talent. You've seen them almost go out of their way to not bring offensive talent to help out Rodgers over the last couple of years. Like, I really believe that the Packers want to see what Jordan Love can do. I want to see. I think they want to bring that dude in, get him some legitimate game reps, man. This kid was a first-round draft pick, never had a chance to play any meaningful games because Aaron Rodgers has been playing. And I'm pretty sure they're over this whole back and forth with Aaron Rodgers every year. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? What's he going to do? I think the reason why the Jets didn't shoot their shot in this situation, because I think if they shot their shot, they would have got Derek Carr. They didn't shoot their shot because they were like, man, you're cute, Derek, but man, Aaron, that boy's a 10. So we're gonna go ahead and wait a little bit longer on him, right? And I think that's the situation here. It's that whole fuck, marry, kill type of thing, right? Like, yeah, you might fuck Derek Carr, but you want to marry Aaron Rodgers, right? And that's what they're trying to do right now. And I think in this situation, that's why they're still that's why Derek Carr walked away. I'm fully expecting to hear that Aaron Rodgers is going to play football again next year, and then shortly after that, a trade being announced. I think, and then today it was leaked out that the only thing right now apparently that the Packers and the Jets are trying to figure out is the compensation component, right? They got to eat more of the cap, you know what I'm saying, based off of what they're like. How does that get leaked out? The only way that leaks out, I think that got leaked out by Aaron Rodgers, if I'm being honest. I think
from a burner account, Gunny? Is that what he's going to do?
It wouldn't come from Joe Douglas' side, and Green Bay runs a tight ass shit. No way it's being leaked out from any one of those. The only person that wants to go ahead and be the highlight right now and still being I think Aaron Rodgers told one of his boys or something, hey, this is what's going on right now. We're just waiting on freaking the compensation to be done before the trade is in it. I think that's what happened. That's the only way that gets leaked. With that said, Aaron Rodgers is going to become our problem, right? He's going to play this year? Is he going to play next year? There's another darkness retreat in the future that he's got to figure out what he wants to do after year 2. And I think when you start looking at the compensation piece, I think the majority of us are okay with Aaron Rodgers playing for the Jets for the next 2 years. I think the majority are like, if we're gonna give up if we're gonna go a first round pick, we need at least 2 years with this guy playing at a high level, giving us a chance to make a push for the Super Bowl. And then I think after that, we're right back to the drawing board at quarterback, or like y'all were just alluding to, the coaching staff, that whole like front office really likes Zach Wilson. And they see it being a mentorship piece of bringing in Aaron Rodgers and having Zach sit behind him for a couple of years. And then once freaking Aaron Rodgers decides he is going to retire, he can take the mantle. There's so many components that kind of lead to that thought process, because Derek Carr signing today kind of surprised me. And then the only reason he signed today, and it wasn't with the Jets, and then you see the contract that he was willing to sign to do so. I'm like, bro, you're going to a team right now that's is worse on offense and worse on defense than the Jets. A lot of people are going to sit there and tell you, no, the Saints have offensive. No, the Saints haven't been relevant offensively since freaking Sean Payton left, since Drew Brees retired. Alvin Kamara is facing charges right now. He might be in jail or at the very minimum suspended come opening of the season. Michael Thomas, when has he played last, right? And can he still play at this level coming back?
I heard the thing about cutting him. He's on the cap for $60 million.
Exactly, right? Chris Olave looked good last year, but he's no Garrett Wilson, right? Like, and to me, I look at our collective of offensive talent and then their collective of offensive talent, and I'm like, yeah, no, there's no way Derek Carr saw those rosters and thought, yeah, you know what? The number 5 defense sounds great. Up and coming, the offensive rookie of the year and potentially the second offensive rookie of the year in Breece Hall or vice versa. I'm good. I'm going to go there. He went there because we pretty much told him, like, hey, bro, you're not option 1. Option 1 is Aaron Rodgers. You're going to wait on us, and then we'll talk to you. And I think he figured, you know what? I'm a grown-ass man. This is disrespectful. And then he went with his option B, which was the Saints. That's my belief.
You guys seen the Will tweet?
I mean, and not only that, though, the Saints, that was their first option, was Carr, too. So that it make them feel a little love.
Yeah.
Carr. I get it. I understand where you're coming from, Gunny. I want Rodgers out of 2 or 3 years for me. I know he's 39. Yeah. And I understand the darkness retreats and he's going to become our problem. For me, I don't know if I want that problem, but I also want a Super Bowl. So I'm in the middle of like, okay, well, this could happen, this could happen. But sometimes I gotta set my feelings aside. But overall, it's kind of like a deja vu of Favre again, right? Because we traded for Favre, and that was interesting. Then he left after a year. And all the options. There's going to be a lot of cuts happening, though. There's going to be a lot of cuts everywhere, even at the QB position in our free agents. There's still going to be some options, but to pounce on whatever happens, we got to do in the next couple of days. What are you saying, DK? Sorry, I interrupted you.
No. I was just kind of going back to what Gunny was saying, and you jumping on. Did you see the Will Parks tweet where he was saying, did you mean to tell me Derek Carr chose the Saints over a cool weather team with the number 1 defense? Like, get out of here.
Yeah, it makes 0 sense. Derek Carr just got his feelings hurt and realized we were going to still wait around for Aaron Rodgers and said, you know what, y'all going to keep disrespecting me. I'm pretty too, I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Saints because they're making me feel pretty. That's what it was. They made him feel pretty, and he decided to roll with them.
Hey, it was their first option. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
The thing is, and I don't know what everybody else's expectation was, but Aaron Rodgers, I assumed he goes to this darkness retreat, he emerges back into the light, and then we get news, right? And instead, what happens is not only do we get radio silence, the general manager himself during his press conference at the combine says, yeah, I have no idea what's going on. There's been no communication. The man's basically still in the dark. And so I thought we would get news. And then, he jumps on some kind of podcast. Apparently it's like an old friend of his. I want to say it was the Anthony Marcus podcast or something like that.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, and basically nothing really happens there other than him breaking down the retreat. And then the only nugget that we get that matters is him saying he'll have a decision sooner than later. I don't know what that means because the timeline he gave the Packers was, let's just say a week, maybe 2 weeks before free agency. And now we're looking at 9 days? 9 days to go. We still have no idea. The general manager is ready to play Jordan Love. He said this himself. So I'm with Gunny. I definitely think he's going out the door one way or the other, retirement or with the Jets. And so I don't know. It just kind of seems inevitable like he'll end up joining us at this point. If you want to play, there's not going to be a better destination. And that went for any quarterback that we were interested in. You have a offense that's looking like it could be shaped up to be a top 5 offense under an elite quarterback. Even an above average one, I would say, gives us a top 10 attack. And then you're looking at a defense, as Will Park said, we have number 1 potential, right? You had a couple pieces, more consistency in the offense with some of the players being groomed, in the defense with some of the players being groomed. And so I don't see how you can't not pick it. He either lost the love for football or he's joining the Jets. That's kind of where I'm at with it. So we'll see. It's a waiting game. It's not a game that I like to play. I'm a patient man, but I'm with Derek Carr. I don't like my strings being pulled for no reason.
Exactly, yeah.
So I'm looking at some of like Super Leroy 66's comments. I don't know if he's a Jets fan or not, but my man really said that Aaron Rodgers is terrible. This is a quarterback that just came off back-to-back MVPs a season ago.
Yeah, he did with a broken finger.
With a broken finger. Yeah, I don't understand this logic in regards to, and I also find this comical. There's so many Jets fans right now who feel like we are now the quarterback whisperers in terms of analysis, to where we can talk shit about any quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is still a top 10 quarterback in the NFL this year. My man says he's trash, bro. I don't understand. Like we have experienced true trash ass quarterback play for almost a decade.
Yeah, and 12 years to be exact.
And for us to not sit there and realize that a top 15 option would be such a step up from what we've endured. And the guy who just came off with 2 back-to-back MVPs a season removed from it is apparently trash. I don't Anthony Richardson, we want to go ahead and gamble on another freaking quarterback in the draft. I don't see how that's even something anybody would feel comfortable entertaining. We've got a team right now that has accelerated the process in terms of development. We were not expecting Sauce Gardner to be this good this fast. We were not expecting freaking Garrett Wilson to be this good this fast. Breece Hall, this good this fast. AVT is an elite guard in the NFL. Like, this is a team right now that you put a couple of pieces around them, and they're legitimate competitors. In fact, it's funny because earlier today, proud New York Jets fan posted something. He posted that the odds for the New York Jets to make the Super Bowl yesterday was plus 2,200. Today, after the Derek Carr announcement, it's plus 2,000. So Vegas seems to me always have their hands in everything. They're understanding how this stuff works. So why would it our odds get better after Derek Carr came off the board? That to me was kind of interesting.
Interesting. I mean, I just love the Brian comment because I know you talk about Jimmy Brissett a lot, and even Super Leroy even said it too. Here, you want to pull that one up? Yeah, there you
go. You said Brian's?
Yes.
I got you.
Ron and
100%.
Brian.
Brissett or freaking Minshew? Yes. Ron, Brian, I'm 100% on board. I don't want anything to do with Jimmy G. I know people keep saying Jimmy G. I'm okay. Yeah, I don't want 7 games in a season just so we can have Mike White or Aaron Rodgers come back in, or not Aaron Rodgers, or Zach Wilson come back in without really knowing if they're ready to go or if Mike White can hold up you know what I'm saying, for a couple of games himself. Jimmy G to me is something that if the Jets bring to the table, they didn't care. They didn't care about this offseason. They didn't really try. They didn't make any effort. That's a failure to me because we're talking about a guy we just saw Brock Purdy look like he's a Pro Bowl quarterback in that offensive scheme. You got to really ask yourself, is it really the quarterbacks playing or is that freaking coaching staff that elite to where they can make anybody look good? And Jimmy G can't even give you freaking the full season. So I don't really understand the love that everybody has for Jimmy G. But Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew, individuals who've played in some turmoil situations and still put up numbers, individuals when they've been given the opportunity have produced at a level that is at least average quarterback play in the NFL. If we're going to go ahead and miss on Lamar, miss on Aaron, miss on Carr, I'm 100% on board with bringing in Jacoby Brissett or Gardner Minshew. Like, those are my plan C and D and E in terms of a quarterback option.
Yeah, I'm with both of them. I want to say I was on the Minshew board pretty early myself anyways, before realizing, Carr and Aaron Rodgers were probably realistic opportunities. I like the upside. The guy's young. Yep. He's younger than we thought. The man Minshew is like 26. All right. And then as far as Jacoby Brissett, I think I've seen a stat that was like crazy, and I have to go back and like fact check it. But like, I want to say he leads the NFL in least interceptions over like a certain set of like passes.
Yep. TD, the interception efficiency. I saw that stat too.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm all for it, right? I mean, the Achilles heel for the offense has always been turnovers for the most part, right? Unreliability in the run game and then turnovers because we have to force the issue. And then, you can throw in lack of talent and all that other kind of stuff. But I think there's still a lot of good options. Is it, the cherry on top for us, right? No, you didn't get the cheesecake you wanted. You got the ice cream that you prefer. So, how sad is it really going to be that we, potentially looking at plan C options, still get the best quarterback that we've had since Mark Sanchez took us to back-to-back playoffs?
Facts. And again, I must reiterate, Jacoby Brissett's numbers last season would have won the Jets the AFC East. If any one of our quarterbacks had given us Jacoby Brissett level production last year, the Jets win the AFC East. So again, we don't know if our defense is going to be that elite next year. We have no idea, right? We can only hope that they can be a top 5 unit again. We don't know if health is going to be an issue. Like, a lot of things come into play. But the fact is, Jacoby Brissett, last year's numbers were good enough for the New York Jets with their current staff to win the AFC East. That to me is disgusting.
Some of us aren't. We should never even think about being GMs. Some of these college I get the intent, but like, man, y'all got a whole lot to learn. So I do got a question, kind of taking it from a different angle, right? So obviously we're going to have to switch plans immediately, whether that's Aaron Rodgers or whoever else we mentioned at quarterback. But what is the faith you guys currently have in the coaching staff and kind of what we built out to be able to have a successful offense for the season coming up? I know a lot of that kind of hinges around the quarterback, but I do think we are in a better place. But I'll let you guys kind of kick it off with your thoughts.
I believe in Joe Douglas. I am a Joe Douglas believer. I am. I'll be the first to admit that. And I do believe that there is a plan B, C, D, E on the table for Joe Douglas. And I do believe his plan B just came off the table. Plan B was Derek Carr, and it's no longer an option. It wouldn't surprise me if plan C is, you know what, let's go ahead and go swing for the fences for Lamar Jackson, right? Everything's breaking down over there. I believe plan A this entire time has been Aaron Rodgers. And I think it kind of shows when you look at what Derek was willing to do to get a contract like ASAP, right? And no, he went to the Saints. Got it. I think Joe D has a plan. And I think the only reason Aaron Rodgers legitimately is not a Jet right now is I think Super Leroy said it, that he's not going to go ahead and overpay. Yeah. He refuses to overpay it. And I'm 100% okay with that. I don't want to give up 2 first-round picks for freaking Aaron Rodgers. I just don't. Exactly. If you're telling me that's going to cost us 2 first-round picks for Aaron Rodgers, then you know what? Fuck it. It's Jacoby Brissett season or it's Gardner Minshew season. I just at 39 years old with the level of inconsistency on whether or not he wants to play or he doesn't want to play, it's just too much of a roller coaster to give up that kind of capital for a guy that's just a little bit finicky. But if you're telling me it's going to cost, a second and a conditional first next year, Yeah, give that to me all day. I'm 100% on board with if it's going to be a first round pick guaranteed, then it's got to be just the one this year, and that's it. That's it. He gets the one this year, and then that is it. I would not pay no more than that for Aaron Rodgers. And I think if it's going to be the first this year, they're going to have to eat a lot of the salary hit, which is why I think we haven't heard the announcement yet. I believe it gets done. I'm sitting here confident that Aaron Rodgers is a Jet at a price point we're all going to be surprised at. The main reason being, I don't think the Packers want to deal with this anymore. I really believe the Packers are fed up with Aaron Rodgers. They're just done with the freaking. It's too much, man. This is small town Green Bay, Wisconsin, man. This isn't like in New York or a bigger market. He can get away with this kind of shit, and we just laugh it off. It is what it is. But in that kind of an environment, man, the fans, the front office, man, it's just too much. I think they're done with him. They really want to see freaking what Love has to offer and get that guy on the field. So I think if I had to tell you right now, I think it's going to be a second and a conditional first next year. Winds up being the price. That conditional first being based off of one, Aaron Rodgers playing in year 2, and of course, maybe a playoff mandate or something like that. Gets us to the playoffs. Our second becomes the first, and who cares? At that point, he's getting a late first round pick anyway. So it is what it is. But I have faith that we're going to have a quarterback that we can at least feel comfortable will make our offense look at worst average. If it's Aaron Rodgers, I believe we're talking about Super Bowl contenders. If it's, I thought Derek Carr was our playoff guy, but I still feel like if we got a Jacoby Brissett or a Gardner Minshew and our defense takes a step, and even the offense takes a step with Breece Hall coming back, ABT coming back, that we could still be a playoff caliber team with a Jacoby Brissett and a Gardner Minshew. I do believe right now the only quarterback on the board that makes the Super Bowl contenders is Aaron Rodgers. Like, I can feel confident in putting money down that the Jets might make the Super Bowl next year at plus 2,000 if Aaron Rodgers is the QB. Anybody else is a gamble. It's still the AFC. But yeah, man, I'm confident. If on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at a 7.5 that Joe Douglas is going to do right by us, and we're going to have a quarterback that can at least make us look average coming this season.
What about you, Gino? Confidence in coaching staff and front office to get the job done on offense?
I know a lot of Jets fans are always in between when it comes to the coaching staff or the GM. JD hasn't done anything to me that raises me red flags, right? Even when he got here. He has done things more for this organization than the last 12 years. We had the best draft last year. We even had some of the best draft in history last year. For me, I have full confidence that JD is going to work out something. I have full confidence that JD is going to get someone, and not only just someone, but it's going to be a playoff contender or Super Bowl contender, whether it's Aaron Rodgers or not, because we have the offense now. We just need that. We're only missing a few pieces, just like that defense. There's going to be cuts. There's going to be signs. There's going to be all kinds of stuff going on, right? But it's, for me, Aaron Rodgers is a problem up here, but his talent is, you can't unrecognize that. But yeah, I kind of agree with Gunny. I would say at first next year, and then like a couple other picks this year. But the Packers are going to have to eat a lot of that, pay at least half, because they even said many times they want Love. They want Love really bad. So they want him to be their guy. And I think it's like, the Favre situation. They wanted him out then. They want Rodgers out now. So I really do think that we'll be somewhere in the next couple of days, whatever happens. But overall, we're all Jets fans. We all want what's best for this team. JD, I can see JD trading up, trading back. I don't think we'll go past the 5th round. Again, like last year. I think we'll be 4th. And then up, and then we're good.
If we trade up, I definitely think it's later, right? I think the key to this whole situation is if we can retain our first round pick, because then that still leaves us a lot of flexibility. It's going to be a lot of great guys that get pushed down in the first round with these quarterbacks, especially the way someone went off in the combine. We'll see what happens with like Jalen Carter and all that kind of stuff. But I think that gives us a lot of leverage, right? I think the last mock draft I did, the Bills wanted to trade up. They wanted Jackson, right? So we got the 27th. We got a future first rounder. I think I got like a third or fourth round pick off of them. So there's still opportunities to essentially recoup the pick that we spend on Aaron Rodgers. So it ultimately could end up looking like we just got him for a compensatory pick, right? We trade back, we get an extra something in the second round to replace what we lost. Whatever that looks like, there's a lot of ways you can take that. But in terms of the coaching staff in the front office, I'm with Gunny. Joe Douglas obviously has shown that he has plan after plan after plan, right? 5 and 6 tackles don't go down without you being able to make something happen, and you still field somewhat of an effective offense. In terms of the coaching staff itself, I'm pretty high on them right now. I was recently revisiting kind of a lot of what's been done by them. Todd Downing has been there for the better part of everybody's most effective years in the league. Derek Carr, Ryan Tannehill's revival. There's another guy in there I'm missing. But either way, O-line coach Keith Carter, fielding multiple top 5 rushing offenses. Obviously, he has a Derrick Henry, but nobody's complaining that Breece Hall isn't a top 3 at worst running back in the NFL prior to his injury. So we have the horsepower back there. And then when you look at Nathaniel Hackett, one of the things that stood out to me was he always has an emphasis in the run game. He actually ranks on average 11th in the NFL just in terms of rushing attempts. So that's all I'm looking for. That's what Mike LaFleur promised us, and we never really got the delivery on it. Utilize the guys that we have in the backfield, right? I'm actually of the opinion that we should go out and we'll see how the boards fall. But I think we need another strong Breece Hall level talent that we can say we can depend on. Whether he comes back from the injury 100% or not, I think the Cleveland Browns have like the perfect mold on having a running back room that sets you up for success no matter what. You have your power guy, you got your speed guy, your elusiveness, all that kind of stuff. So just kind of seeing the background, it seems like there's a lot of synergy, a lot of chemistry in the coaching staff room with how they build off on each other. I think we will be fine, even if it does ultimately come down to a guy like a Jacoby Brissett, a Gardner Minshew being down there, which, by the way, we can't bypass the fact that we've seen our coaching staff currently have elite production with some pretty marginal talent to a certain degree. Zach Azzani might have been in the best situation with him building up the Denver staff, the Denver wide receiver room. And that's what, a first round pick. Who was it? Cortland Sutton. Jerry Jeudy was a first too, wasn't he? And then he still got a UDFA and Tim Patrick that he built up. So he's probably in the best situation of any coach that we brought in. Everybody else kind of overexcelled. So I feel confident there. I'm not even worried about the contract stuff with Aaron Rodgers anymore. Again, Joe Douglas isn't the guy that's going to overpay. Quarterbacks, maybe you allow a little bit of leniency there. I'm more so just interested in what's going to happen with our draft picks. It 100% can't be the first round pick of this year for me, because that's ultimately what I think makes or breaks our draft. We could potentially, there's a couple names I've seen people throw out. Branch, the safety from Alabama. Like, there's a couple different pathways where we could still probably get the best, either like the first, second, maybe even the third best guy at a certain couple positions, right? Tackle. We got mocked to the guard Osiris Torrance pretty early on, right? A lot of people thought he was the best guard that would have been on the board that had the potential to play tackle. You can go Branch, who nobody says isn't the unequivocal best safety on the board. So I think everything starts there, because that's what's going to set us off on the best foot forward to continue to add some of this youthful talent. So we shall see. Ultimately, I guess, where the chips fall. But I think at this point, we need to push all our chips into the table and go all in on trying to achieve a Super Bowl over this next year or two, especially if it's going to be Aaron Rodgers.
Facts. I agree with everything you guys said. I know guys got to leave here in 1 minute. Any final thoughts, guys?
I guess it just boils down to the famous words of one Aaron Rodgers, right? Jets fans, relax. Ayo, relax. At the end of the day, the offseason isn't even here yet. Like, we're talking about a lot of moving parts still happening. Your New York Jets last season literally had the 32nd ranked quarterback play, actually worse than in the NFL. And they still beat some major players because the defense is elite. The running game was impressive, right? So we've got pieces, man, that still make us a worry for our competitors. Aaron Rodgers makes us Super Bowl contenders. Facts. I believe that. Facts. But average quarterback play makes us playoff contenders. And once you're in the playoffs, again, anything can happen. And I think that I saw somebody say we're so set on how bad Zach Wilson played, so we're getting desperate. It's not desperation. It's understanding that right now the iron is hot. We were not expecting to have this many players be this good this fast. And to let it slip between our fingers and not maximize it would just be just a travesty. It would just be just a failure and a travesty amongst the organization, the fan base, etc. So, yes, Aaron Rodgers has not been announced yet. But hey, the offseason officially begins in what, like 2 days, 3 days?
Yeah. The tagging starts tomorrow. Like they'll
Tomorrow.
officially franchise it, and then free agency. Yes.
Yeah. So let's relax, Jets fans. Let's relax. We're going to have a veteran quarterback presence inside of One Jets Drive. We're all hoping it's Aaron Rodgers. But again, I got to go back to saying, had we had average quarterback play last season, your New York Jets wins the AFC East. And that to me is telling of how much talent is really on this roster to be able to still be that effective and that competitive despite having the most important position on the field be beyond mediocre. That's beyond telling. So, like I said before, on behalf, glass half full today. Relax. We'll be hearing some good news relatively soon.
What about you, Banks?
Parting thoughts. We're ending on a positive tip, which I think we should. I would say trust in JD. To Gino's point, he's done the most for us of any general manager in my time actually paying attention and focusing on the team, right? We're talking about him. We're talking about him putting us in a cap situation where we can still go out and, before Derek Carr and all that being signed, potentially sign a huge quarterback, potentially still make a splash move or two, sign a couple free agents that, we buy low, hopefully sell high on. And then we're still talking about our draft. We're talking about the guy that hasn't reserved any dead cap space hits whatsoever, really, in future years. Sets us up to still potentially try to get Zach Wilson to be the quarterback of the future. You draft all of these guys, offensive player of the year, potentially 2 offensive player of the years, right? You only get 1, but 2 guys that could have qualified. Defensive player of the year. You still got Jermaine Johnson in the wings. You got Mekhi Becton, who, if he comes back, a lot of people, I think Pro Bowl talent is kind of the floor with him. Ultimately, with what you're looking at, Elijah Vera Tucker played like an all-pro. Like, he's put a lot of pieces in place, and nothing that he's failed at has been for a lack of effort. And one of the key things I try to remember is, like, all of the resources he's put in, he's done it in multiple ways. Waiver wires, free agents, trade. The man is looking under every rock and stone. So I would be comfortable with whatever he does. And then ultimately, when it comes to Robert Saleh, I think he's essentially the quintessential, people motivator. And I think that's a huge, factor in being able to get the most out of some of these guys. So trust the process, trust Joe Douglas. I think we come out ahead no matter what. We're just stuck to some of the guys that we would love to see wear a green and white jersey. So,
as the words that I've said a lot last year, next man up, and we'll see what happens. Trust the coach staff, trust JD, and we'll just see what happens. Just like Gunny has said and Banks have said, it's a long week. I said it. It's only Monday. We'll see what happens. It's easy to think horribly, but when you calm down, it makes sense. Then it calms down. All right, guys, this is the Take Flight Squad. Another episode. We'll be back next week, next Monday, 2 p.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Western Time. You guys have a great day, and let's get some good news this week. Go Jets.
I will throw in there real quick as well. Appreciate the wrap up. I know I missed highlighting a couple comments in here, quite a few actually. Well, I get better at it for next week, but I appreciate you guys chiming in. As he mentioned, go Jets. We will see you guys again next Monday. Appreciate the love. Peace.